Alright, you guys, welcome back to another episode of The Common Theory. And as always, I'm your host, Gator, along with a special guest today, and only one of my co-hosts. Sadly, one of them got stuck at work and they won't be joining us here, interviewing our winner of the most recent Common Cause. So this is a very exciting time for us. We're kind of doing the circuit now with Clay and his lane with the interview process, and it's our turn. Let's kind of hop on in. Russell, how you doing, my bro? How's things treating you today?
Excellent, Gator. Today I was off. We did have a baby appointment. We did find out it is a boy.
Congratulations.
So yes. Thank you. So we are expecting a little feller at the end of February. I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with y'all. And off to you, Kunks. How are you, man?
Doing pretty good. No real complaints from earlier this week. Had to do a whole bunch of scheduled interviews for a job because we're bringing in new people, which is always great to see.
Yeah, we had a lot of crazy rain down here in Florida, actually. It's been, we can't go a day without rain. It's been wild. So there's can't go to the beach, can't go outside. You're like, I'm going to go outside today. And then it rains.
Just kidding.
Go inside. And then it stops raining.
It's the worst.
Just kidding.
One of those strange things, but...
Yeah, but Gator, we did get to play some PDH in person yesterday.
We did, actually. We played a lot of PDH yesterday. To say the least, lots of fun. I can't complain. I think I'm a bit lucky and spoiled that I get to play so much Pauper in person, but...
Yeah, we got to see the luck of new players.
It's so unfair. New players are so good at this game. Oh, the natural high tides do exist, you guys. And if you don't think they are, spoiler alert, you guys will have new gameplay videos coming up soon enough. But
looking forward to that. Legacy combos, let's go.
Yes, we'll expand on that a little later. But with all that said, our intro's out of the way. Let's just hop in. Russell, this day is about you. So once again, congratulations on your victory. And let's talk about the finals. So to start, I'm just going to introduce the deck that you played. You played Malcolm Kedis. We're not going to jump into the little nitty-gritty things yet. We're just going to touch on the finals because who's better to talk about it than two people that were in the finals together? I mean, you guys were there together, so this is going to be a great conversation for you guys to have. I know people want to know who felt more ahead. Did anybody feel behind? I do know you mulliganed quite low, so
I did.
About your guys' mulligans and stuff like that, and kind of let's go from there.
I did mulligan to 5 going last. I was up against mid-range combo, and aggro. My top deck was amazing. It was an Aether Spellbomb. I don't think I had a turn 1 play until I drew that Aether Spellbomb, and I was looking right at Dargo Kedis next to him like, okay. So play that turn 1 to let him rethink his battle strategy. And I just followed his game plan from there. Just drop Kedis, move to Wombats, poke him because he was poking mainly Clay.
Yeah, Clay kept the one-lander with the hopes of finding a win.
Let me interrupt you guys real quick. So let me set the stage for you guys. So we had seat 1, Malcolm Breaches, which was Kunks. We had seat
I kept
2,
my first 7.
Laylor Weaver, which is Clay.
Also
and then we had seat 3, Dargo Kedis, which was aggro Aaron.
Yep.
And then we had seat 4, which is you, Russell, on Malcolm Kedis.
Yep, that's correct.
Those are our decks at the table, you guys. So seat 1 is like the mid-range pile. It's the slowest deck at the table.
Yep.
But it's the one trying to control and stop people from going crazy. Then we have super, I would argue, one of the fastest decks in the entire format, Laylor Weaver. Right behind one of the other fastest decks in the format, Dargo Kedis. And immediately after that, I would argue the top 3 fastest decks of the format are sitting at this table. Just setting the stage for you guys so you can kind of follow Russell and Kunks with what they're going to talk about next.
Yeah, because my opening 7, from what I can remember, was 3 lands, negate as a form of protection. Pretty sure I had a Spell Pinger, and I forget the other 2 cards, but...
You had a tapped land. I didn't start swinging with Malcolm until turn 4. I did make you use your counterspell because I did flash in an Infinity Eye. Because you didn't want me to draw cards, which is fine.
So for a little bit of context of that, you're down to 5. I've seen the crazy stuff I have done with flashing on Ophidian Eye. I've seen the crazy stuff Gator has done with it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't allow you to draw cards. You're already making treasures. That's bad enough.
Yeah, yes.
Plus drawing 3 cards? No,
it was definitely a respectful play, and I was poking at Aaron because I think that was the right thing to do. Keep the aggro's life total down for sure.
Yeah, because Aaron's doing universal damage to the rest of us.
Correct.
So we have to kill Aaron. Yeah, because that's one good strength about Dargo Kedis. Everyone else is fighting each other. No one hits the Dargo player.
Right.
Yep.
So I was assaulting him the entire matchup. Then I started getting away with a game on turn 4 and 5 with the mana. I don't know. Were you drawing into dead stuff, Kunks?
That's a problem. I just didn't have the mana for it. And
He was just much slower than you from what it appeared.
Again, I felt like I was doing everything fine. Everything was coming together, but just, even though I'm in front of Weavers, Dargo, and Malcolm Kedis, I didn't have the mana to deploy everything I needed to do. And I still always had to keep up mana. I really don't care what the hell Aaron's doing. And I needed to keep the negate up for you.
I had 2 counter spells in hand. I had a tutor in hand, the muddle, and my turn 6, the bottom of turn 6, in the final pod, I drew into Reckless Fireweaver.
I mean, you just had gas.
I did.
You just had gas on gas on gas. Like, you had the protection spells up, you drew your Fireweaver, you had tutors, and you threw the Ophidian Eye out, I don't want to say early, but you did play it early, it gets countered, and you still were just foot to the floor, gassing the whole time. So, from watching the game, I want to say this one. I think it was super crucial that I don't remember if it was a probe or it was a peek, but
It was a peek.
It was a peek.
It's a peek, so you peek at Kunks' hand.
Yep.
And then you were just like, is there a reason that you peek him over the other players, or?
Yeah, so Clay was already behind on mana. I think he had 2 lands in play at the time.
Yeah, no, he was tapped out.
And I think Aaron had 1 card in hand, yeah? 1 or 2. And so Kunks, I was just making sure he didn't have any counter magic. He had the board wipe, but I had 2 backup pieces. 1 counter spell, and then I had the Arcane Denial.
Oh, yeah, that was the other card in my hand. It was Negate and Fiery Cannonade. So.
Yes, and so I was just making sure.
Yep, in case if anything goes too crazy, at least I can take care of your pingers and kill a couple of land and tappers.
It sounds like that was just kind of how the cookie crumbled in that game, because Franklin didn't keep, from what I'm hearing, a bad hand here. Clay got a little greedy. I don't want to say too greedy, right? Because sometimes you take those game's actions with Weavers, especially if you have the freed in your opener. I think the one that was a little off was, I guess, Aaron at this one, because he had the slow Dargo in that game. It was a turn 4 Dargo. The beats didn't really start coming in hard. No double strike spells. So I don't want to say you guys had time, but I mean, you won on turn 6?
Yeah, it was turn 6. So it was still technically early for the format.
Exactly. Yeah, that's still a very early win. Like, the average wins is 9 in our format. So 6 is still, that's 3 turns ahead.
We'll see when the data comes out. Actually, I think the data technically is out, but we'll see when the whole breakdown for turns from this event.
How it was.
Otherwise, I think Kunks was probably going to start running away because he had mana up to cast Breaches on his next turn and start really doing some damage. Yeah. And then I believe Clay said he was going to, on his turn, he said he was going to try to win.
Yeah, just keep trying to push win attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Franklin had that Wrath in his hand, so I think that doesn't ever happen for Clay, because Clay didn't have protection, he just had win attempts.
Right, yeah.
Which is kind of funny, and you had double counter spells as well, which is...
Yeah, and I sat on them for a while.
I mean, that kind of wraps up the finals. I'm sorry, you guys. I understand that's not the most exciting thing to hear, but we kind of wanted to break it down. It was quick, turn 6. It's pretty fast for our format, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was so an intense game, like being in it. It's one of those things of like, I know you love baseball a lot, and I'm sorry to do this to you.
Uh-oh.
But for most people, watching baseball is boring as hell. But when you're at the stadium and you're actually playing it, it's exciting.
I'll give you that. Yes, and I do love baseball. But sure, let's move into some other topics, Russell, because we're gonna pick on you because you're here for us to poke and prod and pull all the information we can out of you.
You got it.
The Common Theory Patreons and Discord has given us some questions for you, and I kind of wanted to relay that and get your thoughts. So to start, why did you even pick Malcolm Kedis to begin with, and follow that up with the Decklist specifically? Did you go out? Did you look? Because I know there's one that has like 12,000 views. Did you just look at the one with the most views and be like, I'm playing that one? Or were there reasons why you picked what you picked and stuff like that?
So after watching your guys' tier video,
Mhm.
as well as your video for the pre-Common Cause, I saw that you had the 3 decks in the S tier, and I wanted to play an S tier deck. My brother plays Gretchen. I've already seen Weavers, and you had mentioned Kedis and Malcolm on the tier list. So I looked for the most recent updates to the deck, which was yours, Gators. You had the most updated deck list. And honestly, I agreed with why every single card was in there. I usually make my own changes,
Okay.
but I didn't. Not until after the event. I didn't make any changes.
Okay.
I mean, do you believe that the deck is an S tier deck? I mean, obviously you won with it, but maybe you don't think it's as strong as we say it is.
I don't think we saw a lot of board wipes or a lot of kill spells during any of my matches. Like, nobody bolted Malcolm. There was no widespread kills, except for maybe during one game, Kunks had the board wipe, but I already knew that because we answered it, but it wouldn't have gotten rid of Malcolm anyways. It just comes down to it that nobody had answers at this during my matches anyways. And I actually went in at 1-1-1.
So you picked the deck based on our tier list. Glad we did you justice.
Congrats on that.
Yes.
Thank you. Put in the work of piloting the deck.
Yes, and thank you for trusting our opinions on that one. We appreciate it a lot here.
Because I like that you said that you agreed with everything on the list. Yeah, and you said that you wanted to make some updates to it. So what were the cards that didn't feel that great for you?
Gator did cut the one protection spell for another draw spell. And I did the same. And I also wanted to point out that I did exactly what the primer suggested. Mulligan to where if you have a piece, you have another piece, but I also mulligan to where I can have Malcolm and Kedis out between turns 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Because the deck is supposed to be winning by turn 5, as the primer states.
Mm-hmm.
And if all the cookies come together. The only recent update I made was I added in Dizzy Spell as another 1-drop tutor. You can go and get the artifact. Yeah, you can go. There's a lot of 1-drops you can get. A counter spell, the artifact where it changes stuff into a pirate. That's a notable one, but that's about it.
A ton of options.
That's about it. And that gives you access to all the tutors in our colors to go and get whatever you need.
Yeah, the deck has I'd say about 8 flex slots that I could, like 2 play sets of cards that I bring out for, like, let's say the format gets really heavy with a lot of smaller creatures. I bring in my Wraths, a few here and there. Electrickery is my favorite one by far, but I'm a big fan of Breath Weapon. I never have to commit to the board. I can sit back and be the control deck, right? So it's interesting. I'm glad you enjoy the deck.
It's a very good resilient deck for sure, and it has speed.
Yeah, again, I did find my Dizzy Spell for one week from when it was in the deck. Yeah,
that's
funny. And like speaking of cards, so what was the MVP in the deck?
Definitely any pinger, but in my case, it was Reckless Fireweaver and a Changeling spell. Both games, my third round and my final, I top decked it. Then I went and got the final pieces. Definitely Reckless Fireweaver, because if I had any other pinger in my hand, I don't know if I would have been able to get there from storming off, but he just makes it end faster because of the infinite ETBs.
Let's pick on you for our next subject. Let's go for what you believe. So this is another question by a few people. Like, what are your total thoughts upon the format as a whole?
Between my in-person at my local GS that I have and the 2 tournaments that I played in, considering the 2 cards on the ban list, I'm fairly certain that the meta is healthy. As long as players respect specific pieces, respect the commander, respect your pingers, respect the untapper. Those are your big 3. If you see that a Malcolm is getting out of control, bolt it. It's only a 2. There's a lot of stuff in the format that kills a 2. Edicts. Players need to respect when they sit down at a table. Oh, I'm playing against that. Don't hate on a specific player. Hate the deck or whatever makes the deck move. And that's my perspective.
Let me ask you a question. Would you agree with this? This is kind of a hot topic, so if you don't want to elaborate on it, you don't have to. But so, for instance, one thing that I see around here a lot in our locals is we'll have like Gretchen at the table and Malcolm Kedis is at the table. The other 2 decks are like Sivrus and something else. Doesn't matter what it is, right? Now, since both of those decks are S tier decks, so I call them, like in person, I call them with my friends like Titans. I don't mess with either one of them if I'm one of the other players. I let them handle each other. because if I stop Malcolm, Gretchen gets out of hand if I can't also stop Gretchen, and vice versa. So I just let those two big decks at the table fight it out. You ran into that situation before? Or?
During my playtesting I have when I was playtesting the deck, I was playtesting with Gretchen and Impervious, which is the elf that gives buffs to other elves. And they were my brothers. I'm like, listen, I can't let him get out of control with his elves, otherwise he's going to beat us to death. But then if I waste all my counter spells on Gretchen, then I'm in trouble, because we both can't handle the aggro, because Gretchen doesn't have the creatures to block all what he has. And if he doesn't have no counter spells, then what is he going to do? Because Gretchen doesn't have... I'm sorry, Gretchen players, but I understand she has an activated ability. But with all the edicts and all the attackers coming after you, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, she doesn't have the most board presence, that's for sure.
I want to be in the middle of the road, because the other two players shouldn't be left unchecked either. Because if you're just spending all your resources on Gretchen, a land untapper is all she needs, and anything that makes a bunch of mana so she can cast Reed or High Tide and continue looping, well, you're probably letting the other guys get out of control, or they don't know what they're doing. So definitely threat assessment, for sure.
That is a big one. Yeah, that is a very big one for us. So you find the format to be healthy then. With the healthiness, if you could pick some of the lower tier commanders that you want to see people play, like I know you were super big on a specific commander. I'm not going to say any names. I'll let you talk about it. But what are your thoughts on other commanders in the format? Do you think others are just as viable? Like, do you think they have the ability to win events?
For sure. As long as people aren't afraid to pick them up. If you're a new player and the veterans are persuading you to pick up the best deck, then by all means pick it up. But don't be afraid to pick up the other decks, because they're there for a reason. It's a wide format. Rather they're fringe, or at this point you can call them fringe, I guess. Anything lower than C tier, I guess. Yeah, play whatever you feel comfortable playing. Like if you played something in 60 card, try to find something that matches that in the 100 card format. Just pick up a deck and learn it. For sure.
I agree with you. I think a lot of players are a little afraid to pick up some of these rogue decks, and I think some of them have a lot of potential. Like the deck that I love to poke fun of, which is one of my favorite decks to play. I can't ever win with it. I just have the worst luck on the planet. But I love the deck, and I've given it to players here locally, and they beat the crap out of me with it, and that's Sivirus Cloakwood. That is like a deck that no matter how much I play it locally, I'll show people 3 cards, and I just show people land. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I'll just do it over and over again, give it to a buddy. He shows the table like Gray Merchant, Blink Spell, and Dread Return. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, for real?
Where's mine when I'm playing the deck?
Yeah,
I'm like, get out of here, guys.
Texas don't like them.
The main thing is to take away from it is, as long as, going back, piggybacking, as long as you respect certain decks, like anything blue combo-y, Malcolm, a pinger strategy, just respect the deck and you can play anything.
They all have their pinch points, right?
Right.
Which I think learning the format does help a lot. Once
Correct.
You know when to interact with them. One of the things I've noticed a lot is people just want to throw a bolt, but then they have 5 pingers in their hand for some crazy reason, and then you lose anyways, right?
Right.
You wait for that crucial moment to bolt that creature when the blades happens, right?
Right. Correct.
You keep the respect, right? Just like you're saying, you respect when they have it. And I think that's a great thing to say. Here's another one for you, actually. What do you have advice for new players for the format? So if a new player comes in today, what would you try to have them do? Because you kind of said already a little bit, you were like, well, if you're from 60 card, play something that matched that. Sadly, we don't really have that.
We don't have a lot,
much.
Right?
Yeah. So what would you try to hand a new player?
Maybe at first they should sit down and watch a pod with various decks. A very good pod. One would aggro, one does this, one does that, and let them pick what they want to do. And then be like, oh, here, in my bag, I have something that can do this. Do you want to play the next game? And we can go from there. To give them a deck, I think you could just say, here, this is this deck. This is what it does. Try to do this. But it's hard because we're in a multiplayer format where politicking is involved. Unless it's just nonsense talking and then the game's not going anywhere.
You're big on your politics, which is another honestly view on format perspective. From what I noticed in the finals, we actually did not talk about that. So I'm kind of reverting us back a little bit. Were there a lot of politics in the finals?
No.
No.
We just asked Aaron where he was going.
That was it?
That was it. I asked him, like, what do you plan on doing with Dargo? I'm going to swing it at Kunks, and then he swung it at me, and I'm like, I'm going to bounce that because I don't feel like taking Dargo damage, and it's going to set you way behind.
You know, all these formats are super known for their politics and whatnot. And it sounds like you guys said one sentence, and that was it.
There was like...
That's kind of funny.
There was no talking in the final one. It's like, there was nothing like crazy going on. Kunks was doing his thing. Clay really wasn't doing anything. Aaron was trying to do his thing, and I was right there behind Kunks.
Yeah, I'm going to control the Dargo eventually. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to him. If he gets out of control, I'll just do this. Kunks had the board wipe, so if Dargo would have taken 2 damage in the back end, then the rest, or 3, for that fact, the board wipe would have killed him. So we had answers. Oh, no, it's a pirate. Never mind. Yeah. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, it is a pirate.
I don't know my cards.
Actually, that's kind of pretty funny.
It's kind of funny that now that you mentioned, because other formats, they're all big on politics and just yapping for time. And then our finals happens. It's like, you gonna swing that at me? No.
But in my third round, which was, I think, critical for everybody, was the third round, that pod had a lot of politicking. It was Azurmi.
Oh yeah, the Arumi.
Rumi, me, the hamster, and Rohan on Malcolm Breaches. Do you guys know what happened?
That was a politic pod?
Oh no, it was because there was a Gary in the bin. And at one point, I was taking massive damage from the mouse. And we were all down to like 12, 15 life. We deterred him away from bringing Gary back to dealing with the entire board because he also had a creature that gives negative counters when it dies or when it ETBs or something like that. He should have went with the Gary because I kept on saying, hey, listen, I have a kill spell in hand if you try to do anything. And Rohan was saying that he will protect the kill spell if anything happens. But
politics are
he still should have did it anyways because in reality, there was nothing we could have done about it. Could have just activated his commander, brought back all 3 Garys. The commander would have died. We're taking 2, 4, 6. Yeah, we're taking a huge amount of damage.
Some absurd amount.
Yeah.
Just insane.
So we got him to completely change his mind. And that round, I had top decked Reckless Fireweaver again. I'm like, oh, what do you know? Then I had the tutor in hand because the mouse was down to 1 card. Rohan was out of mana, and Gary Guy couldn't do anything.
Yeah, we spoke off camera here and off scene here right in the beginning before we're here now. But you were speaking about that you're not going to be playing Malcolm Kedis in the next event. Now, you don't have to say what you're playing in the next event. Is Malcolm Kedis a deck that you would recommend other players to play?
Oh, for sure. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm kind of like, I have, this isn't my first time playing with any form of Malcolm coming from other formats, meaning regular cEDH. But I know how Malcolm works. And I just did what the profile told me to do, the guidelines. Yes, I would recommend it for sure.
So I know you're working on a couple lists, a couple little spicy things.
Yes.
Are you brewing it yourself?
No. So the one list is Val and Thieves of Shadow. I cut a few things to make it, well, not a lot of things, like 1 or 2 cards. I think trying to turbo Val out as fast as possible is a critical game plan. So I just added in a couple things, and then I have a Lily deck put together. The frog, the new frog. And there's one more. I just found Amber and Amber X.
We'll say Amber just X. So we don't spoil what it all is. Just
I will be playing something that hasn't been played before, or at least has 1 or 2 top appeerances in any top 4.
I don't know about you. I don't know how much you've been watching this podcast, but I am a huge fan huge fan of Amber. She's actually one of my favorite commanders in the format.
When I was starting, Gator sent me Amber Hardy to test out for a bit. Those games were fun. I didn't win any of them, but those games are super fun.
Built-in kind of card draw in the command zone?
Yeah.
Built-in super pump in the command zone?
It's got to have legs. I want it to have legs so bad. I very much hope you're successful with that.
I probably am leaning towards Amber for sure. I'm trying to get my brother to do Val. I really am trying to get him to do Val in the Sanctuary.
You think he'll do it? 50-50?
Yeah, for sure. If not, it'll definitely be Gretchen, because he already has Gretchen put together. But I showed him the Val list. I showed him my take on it, and he's like, okay, I know what this deck is trying to do. I like it.
I've seen Tony blow people out with, was it Drown in Sorrow?
Yep.
So many times. That's like one of the biggest key cards for that deck. Just like, whoosh, reset, let's do this.
Yep. Sit there, control the background, pumps her, gives her death touch, so nobody is blocking her.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that indestructible. It's so annoying.
It's nasty.
Yep.
It really is nasty.
Those list of keywords just make her unblockable. It's like what I was saying with the goat tokens ages ago.
Yeah.
Like after a certain point, after a certain amount of power, this is unblockable.
Yeah, Tony's done a lot of work on that deck. It's been very impressive. I've seen Tony from all the way back to like Sanctuary 2 playing that deck for forever and ever and ever. That's a deck list that we've seen grow over time, and it's gotten very, very strong. And then you said the frog. Was that Lily?
Lily.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a spicy.
It's a flicker.
Spicy frog.
Did you get to play Little Landy or Harrison during the tournament?
I didn't know. Did you guys?
Sort of. Technically, we had a game against them, but it was pretty awful for them. Triple Malcolm Breaches pod.
Ooh.
Against, the Lillysplash Mentor.
Player, it was super funny because on turn 4, Rohan countered Lillysplash. On turn 6, Gator countered Lillysplash. On turn 8, I countered Lillysplash.
Well, what's funny is all three of us used Deprive. So it wasn't like we all used the exact same counter spell. So it was like even more frustrating to be the Lillysplash player there. I felt so bad. I was like, this has to be miserable for you.
This is a really good deck. I mean, you don't even need to cast a commander right away because it's activated ability. You don't need haste for it, and it's just crazy.
How about this one? Here's the spicy question. You think it could win a tournament?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
it has a few counter spells in it, compared to some blue decks that aren't running none.
I mean, it could pull them back, right? Like, you could play an Arcane Answer and just bring counterspell back every single turn, right?
Oh, yeah. I had a Ghostly Flicker into my list.
I mean, there's just so many weird things that could come out of the deck, and you don't know. It's like, tell me if you think I'm wrong with this one, Russell. I feel like the deck is like Tatiova and Gretchen if you smooshed them together, and then out came this thing.
For sure. Yep. It has a built-in flicker. Weird. The land's going to play tapped, right? Untapped.
Gretchen's untapped. So here's my question. Are you playing untappers in your variant?
Yeah, there are untappers, yes.
Do you have the pull all your lands out on turn 5 playing in the deck?
Yep.
There's so many ridiculous things this deck could do. I'm very hoping players like yourself specifically work on lists like that, kind of hone them in and get them right. Because I really want to see this. Like, granted, I do not think that Lelandy and or Harrison, I think their list is actually really good so far. I don't think it needs a lot of work, but I do think there could be other versions of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
The deck's only like 2 months old at this point.
2 months, yeah.
Very, very new. Have you had any playtesting with it yet, or?
Just a solitaire. Luckily enough, I have a local gaming store about an hour away from me that literally I can go online and see what cards they have, and I can build like probably any commander deck and there have most of the pieces for it.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of which, so that's the Dragon
Master Games, yes, in Binghamton, New York, yes.
You want to do the little pitch for them?
Yeah, we're holding a Pauper EDH event on November 23rd at their store. The store can hold at least 200 plus people. It's a huge store. For you guys, it'd be just a flight.
Just a short little flight.
Just a short little flight.
Little 2-hour flight.
Hey, it could be worse. I've already done that. I've already gone to Detroit, so.
Nice. This will be their second one. They had the first one. Tatiova won it.
Tatiova?
Yep. Yeah, the store owner's son won with Tatiova High Tide combo, capsize. I came in, I was in the final pod. With me, my brother, and the store owner's son. It was Tatiova, Gretchen, and Abdel Black.
You were playing Abdel Black?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yes.
That's a deck near and dear to my heart as well.
I have a lot of art types. I have Dargo, Keskit, I have Dalik, I have Satyr, and Malcolm and Keskit, and then I'm working on the other three that we're talking about.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of decks. That's very cool. I didn't realize you had so many different decks.
My first one was Essier and Kelith.
No kidding.
I built it for the missus.
Where did you get that from? Did you get that from good old Alcadron?
My buddy first pitched it. My buddy first pitched Pauper to us, and that's what he was beating us with.
It was good back in the day.
I heard it was.
I was going to say, it's like, that sounds like very
good
classic late 2020 meta.
Yes, it was. That's when I first started learning was back in the day.
That was a solid deck. I mean, it was a very good Delver. That was the Armix era.
Yep.
So it was very good against Armix. Because
I had Armix and Dargo built too. Oh, I have that built too. It's at my brother's house.
I think I'm sitting on 13 physical decks right now. Pretty good.
How about you, Kunks?
Yeah, I only have 3. I have like half of Dargo Kedis built. I keep meaning to order it, but other projects just keep coming along.
Definitely try to use Dragon Master Games. They have everything. I know a lot of gaming stores don't keep anything under $1, but this store, they have everything.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yes, I only have Malcolm Kedis, Abdel Blue, and Gut Leader.
Oh, nice.
He has one little surprise here that I have for him. This is his, which you should know this one, since you said that this was one of your first decks. Dargo Keskik.
Yep.
Kunks. So,
nice.
Yeah,
it's right here. I played it on stream today.
Oh, very awesome. Yeah,
I didn't do very good. Pestilence said so.
Oh my gosh, Pestilence is a backbreaker.
I had a really mean board state during the game, and then the mono black guy dropped the Pestilence. I'm like, well, can't do anything about that.
Pestilence is such a powerful card. It's a weird card to me. It's like a highly overrated card and a highly underrated card at the same time. I've never understood
it's
that about
perfectly
that card.
rated.
Not really, because you get opinions from people like the card sucks. Or somebody else is like, the card is the best card in the format. And you're like, it's just a decent card, guys. It's good.
I don't know. It's one of those things where like it's super pod dependent.
Off topic. How about when you're in a competitive cDH pod and you ask the blue players if you can tutor for it just to deal with the board? With a Keurig active on the battlefield.
Oh my gosh.
You can sit there and activate Pestilence with Keurig's ability.
Oh, I play Pestilence in my Keurig deck too.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You don't play Toxic Deluge? No, I play Pestilence because it's better.
Yep. Oh, I wish I had my Keurig deck here. It's actually downstairs, so I'd show it to you.
Gator, did you get to see the new sacrifice art?
I have not yet.
It's beautiful.
So there's a foil sacrifice now.
I'm just very excited. I think they're doing a fantastic job with Standard right now. But that's a whole different subject. I'm not going to get too far off the topic. This is about you, Russell, so we got to keep this on you. Pick on you and pick on your brain. With all that said, man, we kind of hit on essentially all of our topics that we wanted to talk to you about. Is there anything that you want to speak about or anything you'd like to leave as some final thoughts?
Oh, well, I just want to make it a point that I am still very new to the format. Mm-hmm. I haven't had a lot of experience playing at all. It's just been between myself, my brothers, and a friend at a local LGS and whatever I played online. So I'm still learning the meta. I just got lucky. Unfortunately, I'm just going to say how it is. I just got lucky. I just had the cards when I needed them, and everything went well for me.
Sometimes it's better lucky than good.
You're not wrong.
Yep.
But again, you still piloted the deck well.
For sure.
Sometimes Destiny just gives you Reckless Fireleader off the
I'm proud of the deck.
So is this your first online tournament win, correct?
Yes. The last one, Sanctuaries, that you won, I was in the top 8.
Were you? Okay.
But nobody recognized me because I was a nobody.
That's the one with Weavers, correct?
Yes. You mulled down the 3 in that one. I think I was in the top 8 for sure.
Yeah.
I needed to win my final match to get into the top 4.
What were you playing then?
Abdel, Agent, Black. My list is, I think, 3 cards off of yours. I run both of the Soul Sisters.
Yours is like Yami's. Yami plays the Soul Sisters.
I think it's critical because of all the tokens that are in the format entering the battlefield.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's super fair.
Yeah,
It keeps you out of reach of the pingers.
And I have a hot take with Echoing Decay in the deck. I swapped it out for one of the instants because it will literally, with all the 1/1 soldiers running around or whatever, running around multiple tokens, you can just board wipe everything. And if you kill your own stuff with the background out, then it's a flex spot, which is a good card. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I know Yami loves the card when TPI starts getting popular. I don't know if you know this, but there was a time when the Sanctuary series started, it was just 4 or 5 TPIs at a time were just lingering around everywhere.
Yeah, there's 2, 3 different variants of the deck, not one solid list running around. So it's not a bad deck. It is it that makes bodies.
Yeah, you just never know what you're playing against. That's part of the problem. Like if you know the players, you pretty much do. But there's a version down here. There's 2 variants down where we play, and they're both completely different. One is like a mid-range combo list, just pinger deck, and the other one is an Ashnod's Altar Storm list. Polar opposites. Anything else you got for us, man?
No, that was the final thoughts that I wanted to say on at the end. If you guys wanted to pick my brain on that, but definitely would like more people to come in and join us because it's fun and it's healthy.
Thank you so much for being here with us, man. You are very genuine. We really appreciate you actually spending the time with us today and taking the time out of your day. If you guys want to know more about Russel, he does an interview, just like I was saying in the beginning, for this circuit that we're doing with Clay, and you can find him over at cPDH.guide. We'll put the link down in the show notes below. Find that there. It'll be more about Russel and a little bit more background and the history of him as a person. But with all that said, Kunks, take us home.
Russel, again, thank you so much for joining us to do the interview. Love talking to you. Can't wait to see more of you on in Sanctuary and in future common causes. I also want to thank all of our Patreons for supporting us. Thank you for everyone listening to us over on Spotify. If you're still watching this video and you're not subscribed on YouTube, why don't you just hit subscribe, hit the like button, get notified whenever our videos go live every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and our shorts go live on weekdays at 6. And with that, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Russell, again.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, no problem, man. Thank you so much.
You got it.
So much. Everyone, have a beautiful day. Here's a shout out to all of our Patreons: Eric Christopher, Aaron, Dax, Devin, Rohan, Little Red Lotad, Kunks, and Scoob. Thank you, everyone, for all of your support.